any of our children or even families who want to come and get a closer look to be in these first 2 or 3 pews right here this morning. So we've kind of got them built in and gathered already. So if anybody else wants to join down front, you have a closer view. Now, many of you know me as Reverend Brett, right? You know me as Reverend Brett. Well, this week, I'm also going to be known as Reverend Brett, your adventure guide. How does that sound? I'm going to be your adventure guide. And you know where we're going? Any guesses of where we're going? We're going into the forest of faith. The forest of faith is where we're going during Vacation Bible School. Do you hear that? I think there's critters and creatures in our forest, ready and willing to meet us. Do you know that when we go into this forest of faith, we're looking for something very particular? We are looking for the tree of life. Can you say that with me? Every time we hear the tree of life, we go, we are going into the forest of faith in search of the tree of life. You know what, kids? Turn around. The older adults in the congregation, ooh and ah really well. Watch them as we say this again. The tree of life. That's okay. That's okay, adults. We'll work on that this week. But we're going into the forest. And you know what? One thing about trees have so much to teach us. If we look and listen and even go into our Bibles, we'll hear a lot about how trees have something to show us about life, about love, and about faith. Isn't that exciting? Do we all see something? Oh, hi, Katie!
How are you?
I'm good. Everybody, do you remember Katie? And this is Moose the sheep, who has been with us at Vacation Bible School before.
Boy, these are some great trees.
I love trees. I love to climb in trees and sit in them in the shade. And I love to eat apples and other fruit that comes from trees.
You climb trees?
Virtual reality goggles.
Duh, of course, virtual reality goggles.
Trees are really important. The Bible says something about that, doesn't it, Reverend Brett?
The Bible does say something about that, Katie, in Genesis 2:9. That tells us that out of the ground, God made to grow trees of every kind. And every tree that is growing produces fruit. And every tree is pleasant in God's sight. And even there in the midst of the garden, you will find a tree of life. Ooh.
A tree of life? That sounds like a tree I would love to climb.
Moose, we almost missed you there. Say tree of life again.
Tree of life.
Ooh. You know what, Moose? Vacation Bible School is going to be so much fun. There may not be trees for you to climb, but there will be stories for you to hear, and there will be games, and there will be crafts, and there will be little ones who love to look at you and play with you, and we'll explore more deeply what the tree of life, what that means. We'll also learn what the fruits of the Spirit are. And how, like trees, we have something very important to offer to all God's people.
You know, Reverend Brett, that reminds me of a story my grandma told Moose and I the other day.
Oh yeah, the tale of the 3 trees. What a great story. I bet people would love to hear it.
I bet they would love to hear the tale of the 3 trees. And you know what, Moose? We just happen to have the illustrations to go along with that story. Let's hear it. Once upon a time, and once upon a mountaintop, 3 little trees stood and dreamed of what they wanted to become when they grew up. Now the first little tree looked up at the stars, twinkling like diamonds above him. I want to hold treasure, he said. I want to be covered with gold and filled with precious stones. I will be the most beautiful treasure chest in the whole world.
The second little tree looked out at the small stream trickling by on its way to the ocean. I want to be a strong sailing ship, she said. I want to travel mighty waters and carry powerful kings. I will be the strongest ship in the world.
And the third little tree looked down into the valley below, where busy men and busy women worked in a busy town. I don't want to leave this mountaintop at all, she said. I want to grow so tall that when people stop and look at me, they will raise their eyes to the heaven and think of God. I will be the tallest tree in the world.
Now years passed. The rains came, the sun shone, and the little trees grew tall. One day, 3 woodcutters climbed the mountain. The first woodcutter looked at the first tree and said, "This tree is beautiful. It's perfect for me." With a swoop of his shining axe, the first tree fell. Now I shall be made into a beautiful chest, thought the first tree. I shall hold wonderful treasures.
The second woodcutter looked at the second tree and said, "This tree is strong. This is perfect for me." With a swoop of his shining axe, the second tree fell. Now I shall sail mighty waters, thought the second tree. I shall be a strong ship fit for a king.
And the third tree felt her heart sink. When the last woodcutter looked her way, she stood straight and tall and pointed bravely to heaven. But the woodcutter never even looked up. "Any kind of tree will do that for me," he muttered with a swoop of his shiny axe, and the third tree fell.
The first tree rejoiced when the woodcutter brought him to a carpenter's shop. But the busy carpenter was not thinking about treasure chests. Instead, his work-worn hands fashioned the tree into a feed box for animals. The once beautiful tree was not covered with gold or filled with treasure. He was coated with sawdust and filled with hay for hungry animals.
The second tree smiled, and the woodcutter took him to a shipyard. But no mighty sailing ships were being made that day. Instead, one strong tree was hammered and sawed into a simple fishing boat, too small and too weak to sail an ocean or even a river. She was taken to a little lake. Every day she brought in loads of dead, smelly fish.
The third tree was confused when the woodcutter cut her into strong beams and left her in the lumberyard. What happened? The once tall tree wondered. All I ever wanted to do was stay on the mountaintop and point to God.
Many, many days and nights passed. The 3 trees nearly forgot their dreams. But one night, golden starlight poured over the first tree as a young woman placed her newborn baby in a feed box. "I wish I could make a cradle for him," her husband whispered. The mother squeezed his hand and smiled as the starlight shone on the smooth and sturdy wood. "This manger is beautiful," she said. And suddenly, the first tree knew he was holding the greatest treasure in the world.
One evening, a tired traveler and his friends crowded into the old fishing boat. The traveler fell asleep as the second tree quietly sailed onto the lake. Soon thundering and thrashing storms arose. The little tree carried so many passengers safely through the wind and the rain. A tired man awakened. He stood up, stretched out his hand, and said, "Peace." The storm stopped as quickly as it had begun, and suddenly the second tree knew she was carrying the King of the heavens and the earth.
One Friday morning, the third tree was startled when her beams were yanked from the forgotten woodpile. She flinched, and as she was carried through an angry, jeering crowd, she shuddered when soldiers nailed a man's hand to her. She felt ugly and harsh and cruel. But on Sunday morning, when the sun rose and the earth trembled with joy beneath her, the third tree knew that God's love had changed everything.
It had made the first tree beautiful.
It had made the second tree strong.
And every time people thought of the third tree, they would think of God. That was better than being the tallest tree in the world.
Amen. Thank you, Moose and Katie, for sharing that wonderful story with us. I think we have another story that we are about to hear with Miss Heather. Miss Heather is going to be our storyteller throughout Vacation Bible School. So I would like for you all kids to gather around Miss Heather.
You can sit on the floor, too. You can sit on the floor. Take one. Everyone has to take one. I have to take one. That's all the time. Does everyone have one? Okay. So, what is this? Well, it's not a fig seed. It's an actual real fig that you can eat. It's not a raisin. It's a fig. It's a food. Do you know why these are important? Because people need to eat. That's one reason. I won't eat these, but that's okay. So these are important because once upon a time, back when Jesus roamed the earth, he told a parable about this. The parable about the fig. Has anyone heard that story? Once there was a farmer who had a great farm. And on his farm he had lots and lots of trees. Trees that produced apples, trees that produced peaches, trees that produced pears. But there was one tree in the corner of his garden that didn't produce anything. It was barren. And year after year, this tree was in his garden, and it wouldn't produce anything. And so finally, he was like, I've had it with this tree. I'm just going to chop it down. Why should it waste the soil? And his gardener said, no. Wait, give me a year, and I will fertilize this tree, and we'll see what happens. And so we're going to learn about things this week that fertilize. We're going to learn about things that God created. He created the soil. He created worms. He created the water. And he created air. Everything that helps trees get fertilized and grow and produce things. And then we're going to learn about those things that they produce. And some things produce fruits, and some things produce fruits of the Spirit. And we're going to learn about that this week. But I want everyone right now to taste their fig. Everyone has to taste it. I had to taste it first service. It's all right to eat. I'm more, yeah, well, taste it and tell me what it tastes like. Yeah, fig leaves are made out of fig. It smells like beef jerky. Well, it doesn't taste like beef jerky. I can tell you that. Tastes like burger. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it tastes good. Yeah, it smells almost tastes worse. I agree. We have one person who likes it. So this week we're going to have fun with VBS, okay? And I'll be telling you more stories about worms and stuff, okay?
All right.
All right. Get on
You may eat the stem.
Oh,